of 2024. My goal is that you can, have that belief that you will at least add 6 figures to your business this year in 2024 with speaking. However, I know that some of you can actually also have 100K months and also 100K days. And so that's what I want to talk with you about today. Like, how is that possible? How can you do that with your business? And I'll tell you the very first thing that is absolutely the key to being able to achieve that, whether it's over the course of a year, a month, or a day, is that you really need to make sure in business and in speaking that you have a real clear understanding of what I call your core genius. And that is, what were you created to do at your core? And what have you studied and become an expert in? And that's your genius. You put those two things together and build a business and a talk and foundationally, really your profit centers, everything around that core genius. If you do that, business will become so much easier. You will naturally begin to attract people to you. People will believe you when you speak because it will be aligned with your inner self. You'll be able to speak from your heart and not from your head. And it'll feel very connected because it'll be very much aligned to who you are. And if you don't have clarity around it, it's going to be hard to connect and stand out in the marketplace. You can tend, when you don't have clarity around that, pick a name for your business or a brand for your business that doesn't really match what it is that you do and what separates you and makes you different. It can make you blend in with others by not having that clarity. It can make actually building a business harder. A lot of entrepreneurs that I meet, they are really, really, really good at their skill, like what they do for their business, their service. But when it comes to building an entrepreneurial business around that service, they struggle. And so they start to look outside of, to other people, like, how do you market your business? How do you, position your business to get new customers, new clients, and grow your revenue? And when you don't have clarity around your core genius, you start to listen to a lot of other people and maybe pick up on things they're doing and try to do it for yourself, but it doesn't actually work. And I'm going to give you an example of like what this looks like in real life, because I think it'll make a lot more sense if I kind of show you with a story of somebody that I've actually met at a conference. I was sitting next to this woman, Amanda. We were at a conference, about 300 people. We're sitting at round table. She was on my left. And I, of course, asked her the normal questions. So, Amanda, what do you do? And then she went on to share with me for a good 10 minutes about her business. And she told me that, the name of her business was Soul Fit, SOUL Fit. And when she shared that with me, I immediately thought she did something with fitness, something maybe spiritually connected to that. It was kind of confusing. And as she went to speak about what she did, I really didn't get any more clarity. And she's talked to me for a good 10 minutes about what she did. And I don't know if you've had that experience or if you felt that yourself, like when you're trying to explain what you do and you stumble and you struggle and it just isn't coming across and like you have so much to offer, but it's like not connecting in your messaging. That was happening for her. And she was so lovely. And I knew there was something very special about her. And I knew that she wasn't able to articulate it, but I was really curious. So we ended up going to lunch and I decided I'm going to figure out what her core genius is. And I feel like that's one of my gifts, is being able to identify a core genius for somebody, because it just somehow comes to me really quickly. And I'm going to share one of the questions that I asked her, and you can write this question down for yourself because it could help you to identify what your core genius is. But I asked her, Amanda, I understand from what you shared with me so far that you help women lose weight. Like, I got that out of what you shared, but what is it that you do measurably better? And this is a question I want you to write down and answer for yourself. What is it that you do measurably better than others in your industry? Like, if some woman wanted to lose weight, what might they miss out on if they went to somebody other than you to be able to lose weight? And immediately she said to me, well, I have a doctorate in pharmacy. And she went on, and I'm going to stop and pause and say that 10 minutes that she talked to me previously, she never explained that she had a doctorate in pharmacy. That never came up. She didn't think it was relevant. And then she said, I have this way that I work with women and I figure out what their hormones, like an algorithm in my mind. It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube where I start to shift their hormones. And once I get it set such a way, like a Rubik's Cube, then all the weight just falls off. And she had all these amazing stories of women that she helped to lose weight. And so I asked her, that makes me really curious, Amanda, like, why did you name your business Soul Fit? And she said, well, I just really like the name. And I don't know if that's something that you've been tempted to do in terms of your business, is picking a name that you just liked or that was creative. But it really threw off her messaging and her brand because it didn't really pick what she did. And so I said to her, Amanda, everything that you share with me, what I hear your core genius is that as somebody that has a doctorate in pharmacy, you have this unique ability to harmonize women's hormones like a Rubik's Cube. You figure out this algorithm and you shift their hormones in such a way that eventually, once that Rubik's Cube is solved, the weight just falls off. And she said, exactly. And she started like nodding her head. She's like, exactly what I do. And I said, that is your business and that is your message. And your branding is really more around harmonizing hormones. And she said, do you really think that people would be interested in that? If I were to say that and share that, I'm like, that's exactly what people would be interested in. And so she had the opportunity to speak in front of 40 women. And we started working together and I helped to put together, a talk for the 5 minutes. And within 5 minutes of her doing that messaging and sharing it and putting together that little 5-minute piece, she ended up with, out of the 40 women, 27 of them wanted to get on her email list and 9 of them wanted to have a consultation with her. And she ended up earning $18,000 from 5 minutes of speaking in that way because she got real clarity around what her core genius was and how to articulate that and how to explain her business. And so she ended up changing her branding, changing a lot of the foundation pieces so that she could clearly communicate and stand out in the marketplace and really be aligned with what she did. Now, the key things about core genius is like her, Amanda, she didn't really recognize the power of her. She didn't recognize that that was something that people were going to speak to hear because it was such a fabric of who she is. And sometimes that I find that to be the case with entrepreneurs as I work with them and share. You feel alignment with when I would say what your core genius is, you would feel alignment with that, but you might not recognize how powerful or how important that is, that that's what you're leading with, that's what you're talking about. But that is the key to being able to have 100K days, 100K months, add 6 figures to your business with speaking. And she's a perfect example of that. Just 5 minutes, she went from making like $2,000 a month, which prior to being an entrepreneur as a doctorate in pharmacy, she was used to making 6 figures and she wanted to be making 6 figures. And she was frustrated in her business because her messaging and how she was speaking about it wasn't working. And when she made that shift, she picked up $18,000 from 5 minutes of speaking in front of a small group of just 40 people. So I just really want to emphasize how important that is. I want you to start to think about too, and answer this question for yourself. Like, how could you talk about your business in a way that really showed your core genius, your true passion for what you do and what separates you and makes you different than others in the marketplace and in your industry? Because that is one of the absolute keys. The second key to adding 6 figures is I'm going to share next. But before I do it, I want to share with you a little exercise. And so I'm going to need everybody look up at the screen and I'm going to give you 20 seconds and I'm going to have you visually scan, look for the numbers. There's 45 numbers on this page. And I'm going to show you where the number 1 is. It's right here. And so I'm going to give you 20 seconds to find and see how high you can get in terms of visually scanning. The 1, now find the 2, the 3, and keep going. Okay, go. Okay, time. Okay, if you could put in the chat, what number did you get to when you were visually scanning there? So whoever did the exercise, we can just pop it in the chat, see what number you got to. Okay, great. Oh, 5. Okay, 12, 45. Wow, you got to 45, Phyllis. That's incredible. Philip, you got to 45. I've never had anybody get to 45, so that is incredible. And their first try, so good for you. And 40 for Carol. You guys are really fast visual scanners. Wow. Okay, so now the next one, I'm going to actually share with you a framework for this exercise. All the numbers are going to be in the exact same place. You're going to have the exact same amount of time, 20 seconds, but I'm going to show you now a framework for this, okay? So you see the 1 here, the 2 here, 3, there's a framework for this. And I'm going to go ahead and hit 20 seconds and go again and see how fast you can get. Carol and Philip, don't even bother. You got it. But the rest of you, let's see where you get. Okay, stop. All right, so if you can put in the chat what you got to, I would assume everybody's number went up. Oh, yes. Very good. Perfect. Yes, everyone's number went significantly up. And so that is really leading into the second key, really, to being able to add six figures to your business in less than a year or have 100K days or 100K months, is that creating a strategically designed signature talk and understanding the framework for speaking. That is really the key. And when you think about, business, for example, and in speaking, if you've had the opportunity to speak, sometimes business or speaking can feel like that first slide where there's numbers everywhere and you really don't know what you're doing, right? You just like go for it and you just start talking or sharing based on what you think you should do. Same thing with business, like as an entrepreneur, just kind of go for it and pick up cues from other people. You're great at what you do, but getting out there, you want that time and freedom, and you just start going for it. But there's a lot of trial and error, right? You're going to go a lot slower than you would if you actually had a framework or a blueprint for entrepreneurship. And the same is true for speaking. You can get for speaking, you can get a lot of compliments for your speaking, but then not really grow your business and wonder, why am I getting all these compliments, but I'm not really seeing my business grow? All of that is related to really not having clarity around what the framework or the blueprint is for business and for speaking. And so when it comes to speaking, you really want to follow a strategically designed framework for speaking. And so some of the keys for that is 50% of your speaking ideally should be stories, because stories are what change behavior and stories are what people will remember. And if you think about some of the best speakers you've heard, the best things that, like you're always remembering their stories, right? Like that's what stays with you. And there's a lot that goes on intellectually when you share stories, and there's a lot of science behind that. But stories are key, and most speakers are not sharing a lot of stories. And so that could be a piece where you can really see a big change in your outcomes from speaking if you start to share stories. The other big thing that is really key in terms of the framework for speaking is that you want to speak about principles and not so much your process. And that's important because process is just information. And what you'll get is a lot of people saying, thank you so much, that was great information. Or thank you so much, that was very informative. And what comes at the end of that is not a lot of people wanting to have a conversation with you. But if you speak from principles, you're going to create curiosity, and stories, principles and stories. You'll create curiosity and you'll create a desire to learn more, and people will have a deeper understanding of what it is that you do. And it's really the what, like what are the key things? And so I'm going to ask a question at the end of this point that's going to help to pull out for you what your principles are and what topics you really want to be speaking about. And every time I work with an entrepreneur, they think the things that they should be speaking about are the things that they should be speaking about. But what it turns out is it's like almost all the time they're thinking about sharing more of their process, their how, and not so much what are the principles, what are the key things for somebody to achieve whatever big result that they bring. So for me, one of the big results that I bring for entrepreneurs is helping them have 100K days or 100K months or adding six figures. And so instead of like sharing with you and going through all the processes in this talk, I thought about what are the three major things that if at the end of this, like if you ever want to have a chance, if you never work with me and you just like want to know what are the things that you must do in order to be able to add six figures to your business this year or have 100K days or 100K months, like what would you have to do in order to have that result? The first one I talked about is your branding and your core genius and your profit centers. Like everything has to be aligned. Like you need to know that core genius. And that's the thing that's foundationally key. And then the second one is like having a strategically designed signature talk. That would be another key to having that type of outcome. And so inside the signature talk, the framework is stories, principles, asking these reflection questions like we're talking about, making an offer, a free offer of being able to have time and conversation with you, and naming that offer something that is going to be aligned with your result, your title. And all of that makes up your framework. And I'll share the power of this. Like Samantha is a woman that I work with who she had this business and still has it called The Centered Life. And she worked with 3 other therapists, a mental health therapy clinic. And when I met her, she was absolutely exhausted, working very long days. It's her job to go out and do the marketing for the practice. And that meant she went out and did a lot of speaking. And so she, like a lot of entrepreneurs I met, had lots of different speaking topics. Like she would be invited to go to schools and speak about suicide prevention, and go and speak to, men and women about grief. And then she did another talk and talked about divorce. And she had all these different talks, all these different PowerPoints, and none of them were actually growing her business. But she was out there doing the work, and she felt like that's what she was supposed to do. But even though the results weren't there. And so when I sat with her, I asked her and found out what was her core genius. And what I discovered is her core genius was that she had this unique ability to put an end to anxiety for women. Like she said that her colleagues, others in the therapy world would say that's not possible. All you can actually really do is teach people to cope with anxiety, but you can't really put an end to it. And she said, I know that's not true. I put an end to anxiety. And I said, well, great. Why don't we, fill your whole practice with, that, right? Why are you seeing all these different types of clients? And you could just see people that have anxiety, women that have anxiety. And she said, well, in her mind, that she didn't have permission to do that because in school they taught her she had to help everybody, but this was her own business. And she did have that permission and ability, but she wasn't giving it to herself. And I had to talk through that with her about, what if you were to create that? What would that feel like? There's so many women in the world that want to find a therapist that can actually help them put an end to it and not just cope with it. Like there's such a need for this. And so we started working together, and she had a talk coming up in 90 days, which was in front of 100 women, was her ideal audience. She was making about $3,000 a month from her practice, and her goal was to have $10,000 months. And so we put together her signature talk. We called it Dare to End Anxiety. That was her brand, her core genius. Everything was related around that, which was her foundation of what she was really gifted at and what she was called to do and what she's become an expert in. And so when she did that talk, she had an experience that she had never had before. She was on stage, there was 100 people in the room, and she had at the back of the room a table, and I taught her how to create these papers that people could fill out and set up times with her. And she had on the back of the table, she had 18 spots for people to fill out to be able to have a conversation with her. And so while she was standing on stage, she made the offer to have this conversation, this Dare to End Anxiety conversation. And when she went back there, she was on stage and watched half of the room stand up. When she made the offer, half of the room stand up and went to the back room while she was still on stage. And while the time she walked off stage and got back there, all 18 spots were taken. And she had 27 other people that were in line that said, I would like to be on a waiting list to be able to work with you. They wanted so badly to have an end to anxiety that they would wait for her. She has had it's been, I think, 4 years, and she's now had a waiting list for 4 years. She got so busy. She that month made 10K month, and she's had 10K months. She continued to have 10K months. She ended up making like 250,000 her first year. Last year she was over 500,000, and now not the year before last year she was over 500,000. Now she's over $1 million, and she has the Centered Life, which is thriving like crazy, and then she has another coaching business that's just called Dare to End Anxiety. And she went from making $3,000 a month to now making 7 figures over the course of 4 years as an individual therapist. And so that's incredible to see that type of result. And so that's what's possible when you get that clarity on your core genius, start speaking about it, and do the things that I just shared in terms of like that design around speaking. Dr. Layla is another example of somebody that when I met her, she was making about $4,000 a month. Same thing, functional medicine doctor, doing all kinds of talks on all types of different health issues. Put together her signature talk, and then she started doing that talk so that she could do one talk. That's the key, is you can do one talk that's really aligned to your core genius and what you do and the real difference that you make. And she ended up making over $400,000 her first year. By the second year, she was at 850,000. And the third year, she was over $1 million. And she has had the same experience that Samantha had. So I want to ask you to think about this. Like, what is it that is your topics? Like, what are the key things that you should be speaking about? And the way to get there is the first step is start with the end in mind. What's your big result that you bring? What is that? When you think about your ideal client, what is the big result that you bring them? That big result should be related to your title. Then thinking about that big result, then when I say title, that's the title of your talk. When you think about that big result, then ask yourself, if this person if the audience never got to work with me and they only got to hear me speak, what would be the 3 things I must tell them that if they ever want to have a chance at getting this big result, these are the 3 things that they must know. What are those 3 things? That would give you some insight into what your principles are and what really are the topics that you want to talk about. So the third thing I want to share with you to have those 100K days or months, or at least add six figures this year, is you really need to have a valuable lead magnet. This, I think, is really not given enough attention in the entrepreneurial world, and it's such a powerful tool. If you create something that is truly valuable, that's the key. One of the foundation books I read when I first started as an entrepreneur was a book called Go Giver by Bob Burg. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's a little red book. And he's got lots of Go Giver books, but the red one is the first one. It's incredibly powerful. But the principle is that you give with like freedom to give generously, understanding that you're tapping into one of the laws of the universe, which is the law of reciprocity. When you give generously, then it creates a desire to give back to you. And so when you're thinking about a lead magnet, some gift that you can give away digitally to an audience or to somebody that's free, it doesn't cost you any money to give it. It's something that you can give out to one person or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people. It's not cost you anything more. Like you create it, it's done, and then you can just freely give it out. In exchange for giving that resource and that gift out, you're getting their contact information, their email, whatever information you want to collect is, in exchange for that. Giving something that where people have that feeling like, wow, I can't believe he or she is giving that to me. I really want that, is what you're after, especially when you're creating one for your speaking or when you're one-on-one networking. Your website, whatever you have on there for a lead magnet or an opt-in, should be different than what you're using when you're speaking. And so having something super valuable is really key. Your database, building your database, is one of the most valuable assets of anyone's business. And so I'll share with you how powerful this is in Dr. Coker's life. This is a doctor I worked with that his wife is whose arms around him. She had Hashimoto's disease, and he helped heal her thyroid disease, Hashimoto's. And so he actually created a course, which became his lead magnet, for women who wanted to heal their thyroid disease on their own. And so he taught them how to do that on this free course. And so over a course of 24 months, he just gave this away for free. Everywhere he spoke, we did online, in person, everywhere, just give it away, give it away, give it away. And he, over the course of 24 months, collected over 60,000 emails. Starting at the 12th month, so 1 year into that 24 months where he had the 60,000, starting at month 12, he started a course that was paid, a paid course, where he charged a fee. It was a couple $100s. And he took that course and he marketed it to the 60,000 email list that was growing, right? From 12 to 24 months. He was, gave away the free. Then he started offering the paid to the list that took the free one. In that 12-month window, he made over $1 million on that course based on that lead magnet and gathering that really valuable, because the people that got that opted into that free course saw the value in what he gave away for free, that when he offered something to pay, they were bought into that. And they're like, I will invest in this. I got so much value out of that. Like I did that. I did that actually just even on a small scale with Jack Canfield's book, Success Principles. I read that book from cover to cover, like over and over again. And that book gave me so much value that I ended up paying $15,000 to go to his retreat. So there's such power in understanding when you give freely away great content that it will come back to you. So I'm going to have you think about this now for yourself. When you think about what could you give away, what would be something that your clients would really want? Like what could really help them solve a specific problem and really would make a difference in their lives? That's what I want you to start to get in the mindset of in terms of what you could give away as a lead magnet. So as a quick review, remember your passion, what your core genius is, that is what should be leading you to profits. Like that's so important to get clarity around that, and you really understand what that is, and your branding and everything is aligned to that. Then you really need to have a strategically designed signature talk and focus on principles, not process, and build a database for future sales. Those are the three key things that if you do those three things, that will position you to add 6 figures to your business at the minimum this year. And for many of you, it can be 100K months or 100K days. So my gift to you is something that I've had clients pay me $2,000 for. I work together with Matt Browning, he's a top podcast host. He runs a podcast called The Driven Entrepreneur. I run engaging speakers, and I book a lot of speakers, and he books a lot of top podcasts. He does his top podcast and books a lot of podcast guests. And so we put together this tool and resource that is really, really powerful. It's going to teach you, and even if you're not speaking now, but you want to in the future, I would really love to give this to you, because it's going to tell you exactly how to reach out to meeting planners and how to reach out to top podcast hosts, what to say, the exact verbiage. Like if you were to call them or direct message them on social media or email them, how many days apart to do that, all of it. It's I think 30 some pages, this resource. It's a really valuable resource, and I really would love to get that to you. So if you would like this resource, if you could put your email in the chat, I will send that to my assistant, and then she will email that out to you, and you will have that, and you can hold on to that, keep that. It's just a really valuable thing for you to have in the future. And it really does work in terms of helping you to get booked to speak. And the second thing I'd love to offer you is just a gift of my time. If you're somebody that you don't know what your core genius is, you know that when you're speaking, you're not getting the type of results that you want. Like it's not really growing your business. Like you are out there, you want to be out there more, and you're interested in, learning more about how to create a strategically designed signature talk, or maybe you just want to talk to me about a lead magnet idea. I'd love to be able to offer you a session with me. I call it your Speak Your Way to Over 100K session. And so we would just spend some time. I would send you my questionnaire. And if you can send me an email, once you send me an email, just put in the subject line, Speak Your Way to Over 100K. And then I will send you a link to fill out a questionnaire from me. And that questionnaire would just simply help me to get to know you and your business more. And that way, when we actually get on Zoom together, I will be able to make the most of that time that we have. It'll help speed up a lot of things so I can really get to know you faster and be able to ask more quality questions too when we actually speak. So if you're interested in that, if you want to just send me an email, jen@jenloving.com, and then put in the subject line, Speak Your Way to over 100K session. And I would love to do that and have that time with you. And in closing, I would love to share with you one of my favorite quotes. It's by Mark Twain, which are the two most important days in your life is the day that you are born and the day you find out why. And I feel that the day you find out why, when it comes to business, is the day that you really get that clarity around your core genius and you start speaking about that and really creating everything in your business world around what it is that you were really created to do and have become, studied and become an expert in. So thank you so much, Carol, for the opportunity to speak to the group today. It was really nice to have this time with all of you.
I am so glad that you're here, and thank you. I've recorded you, if that's all right with you, and we'll share that with the community as well. So, we're not just touching you one moment. So I just want to say thank you. So Phyllis, do you want to unmute yourself? This is our Achieve Chicago Connect and Collaborate online version. So we've had all sorts of wonderful speakers come and join us.
All right, so I want to welcome everyone also, and in a minute we'll get everyone to do their 30-second introduction. Tell us who you are, what you do, what problems you solve, and what a great referral would be. And Carol meets monthly, virtual. She's going to meet live and virtual mixed right in the spring when it gets warmer in Chicago. But this is the networking division of Achieve Business Systems. And so we're growing the largest community of entrepreneurs in the world, one community at a time, connecting people worldwide through these communities. And this is the Chicago chapter. So if everyone would love to introduce themselves, and don't forget to put your information in the chat. And Jen's talk was, Jen, that was just amazing. And I'm looking forward to, talking further. And I encourage everyone, to send her an email. And also for the people that are on tonight, see who resonated with you. We had 2 great breakout rooms where we got to know each other. And when people do their 30 or 45 second, no more than 45 second, you want to pique someone's interest. See who resonates with you, see who you want to get on a one-on-one with, and connect with each other on social. I forgot to put it in the chat, but I have created a group called Connecting, Collaborate, Networking Experience, as well as a LinkedIn group. And there's so many ways that we can support and uplift each other by liking, sharing, commenting, connecting. And it may not be the people that are on this Zoom tonight, but it's the thousands of people that we all know collectively that can, help each other. So I will put that link in there. And who wants to go first with their 30, not more than 45 second interest peaking introduction?
No volunteers? Jared,
Teacher's gonna pick.
Jared, go ahead.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Oh, you're gonna go ahead, honey?
Well, go ahead. Let Jared go. I mean, nobody's going to step up to the plate. I'll step up to the plate.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Philip Wachniak, recently retired. Worked for an airline industry for 40 some years. Helped a lot of people. I was a shop steward, inspector, lead, all that. You got a plane sitting out there, $1 million trip, 400 people on board. It's ready to go. What are you going to do? Now in your business, what I do now is, have you had your conscious health alignment report? What step do you need to get yourself off the ground and going? My contact information is in the chat. Thank you.
Very good. Choose somebody, honey.
Okay, we'll do all. I guess Jared stepped up to the plate. He was there next, volunteered.
Unmute yourself, Jared.
Sorry about that. Well, transacting business today requires we have a strong on-screen presence. Now that sounds simple enough. Pick up this thing, hit record, say something, post it. You just did a business video, right? But here's the thing. If you don't connect with the people on the other end by saying something engaging, I just messed myself up. It's late at night. I was up at 5. Can I start over?
Absolutely.
Okay. Transacting business today requires we have a strong on-screen presence. Now that seems simple enough. You pick up this device, punch record, say something, post it. You just did a business video. But here's the thing. What you don't know about scripting, presenting to a camera lens, and production qualities, light, sound, and etc. You just don't know. So that means you might be missing connections. You're missing opportunities and missing sales that should be yours. I fixed that. When you see your new engaging on-screen presence, even you will want to work with you. I'm Jared Silver from At a Glance Marketing.
Thank you. Choose somebody.
Okay. Carrie, go for it.
Thank you very much. I own a brand new speaking company called Super Focus Me. It's also an education company because we teach people how to use the mental cause and effects to lead your best life, focusing primarily on neutralizing people's fear-based emotions. So anytime you react in an emotional way, it causes you to make decisions differently. So I'm reaching out to leaders and coaches that can help train the type of people to make decisions from truth rather than emotional reaction. Again, my name is Carrie Keller with Super Focus Me.
Good. You want to choose somebody? You muted, hon.
Sorry, that would help. Sue, would you like to go?
Sure. That was great, Jen, and I love your sign. Love what you do. I used to have a red one. before I moved into the RV and had to get rid of it. So, by partnering with 2 U.S. companies, we offer women cost-effective options for success when it comes to legal, security, and healthcare to help grow their business and protect their family. Hi, I'm Sue Adams with Proactive Businesswomen, and we provide legal confidence, identity theft protection, and healthcare harmony for women building empires.
Very nice. Akram, can you
I'm-
unmute?
I can.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Akram Abdullah. I think probably I want to spend some time with Jen. I mean, Phyllis and Carol know me, and I'm in 5 different realms, but I really want to reinvent that. And I think Jen, I like what you're talking about. I think you can help me do that. The irony of that is I can do it for others, but I haven't done it for me.
And we live so close. Let's get together.
Let's do that. So I don't know Carol, what should I share tonight?
What's in your heart to share?
So Jen, when I meet with you, I really want to talk about leaving evidence of making a difference in people's lives. So wherever we go, we leave that. And I can do it multiple different ways, but how do I package and brand myself to be able to do that on a level that makes a difference for a lot of people?
Mm.
And I think I was able to articulate that better than usual, Carol and Phyllis.
Yes, you
They've
did
known me for
good.
some time. And I think that's because of what Jen has shared tonight about that. So often, I think in the breakout room to Jen, I started talking about what I do with an I company, but it's basically I'm executing somebody else's vision. And I'd like to really work on minds to move it forward and who I am in the world and tell that story. So Jen, you can help me with that. And I'd love to, Carol and Phyllis, they're givers. And I think, Jen, I know you are too. And love is not just your name. That's your autobiography.
Thank you.
Yeah. So love is more than the name. And I really I think I'm getting closer than ever to what my story is and the impact that I want to make. So I see that as I listen to everybody's story, I'm thinking, okay, how can we take them to the next level? And how can we shorten the line between where they are and where they want to be? So something in that realm, but I do want to, how do I tell that story? And then how do I put it out in the world? So
Wow.
I really want to do that.
It would be an honor
Phyllis,
to have that conversation.
What's that?
It would be an honor to have that conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Phyllis said, wow. Phyllis, did you see something?
No, I'm really happy to see this because you have so much to offer of your own brand.
Yes. We've been his
That's
cheerleader for years.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Powerful. I love it.
My own brand. That might be my story rather than everybody else's.
There you go.
Be your own rescue, Akram.
Yeah, that's good.
So, but thank you, everyone. And Jen, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I hope you really enjoyed the people that were in your room. And to all of you, sharing my heart to you. May you be blessed. Thank you, Phyllis, for creating the opportunity with the Connect and Collaborate, which is one of our passions, just to serve others. Any final words you want to say, Phyllis?
Well, I wanted to say thank you to everybody, and everyone should set up one-on-ones with each other. Please join the Facebook and the LinkedIn group. Connect with Jen. She has some amazing offers today and content. I took lots of notes, there's a few pages of notes. And, join us next month. Bring some more people. We also have a Friday virtual at 10 a.m. Mountain. And I put all that information in the chat. Has everyone put their information in the chat? That's the most important thing, so we can all connect with each other.
Yes, and save that chat.
And save the chat. And I look forward to seeing you next month.
Yes,
So
I
let's-
just-
go
so
ahead.
I
I
just wanna
have
say
a,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, I have a Connect and Collaborate virtual on the go meeting next Wednesday, the 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
And
Okay,
she is targeting full-time RVers, all of us, that are not in an RV, full-time RVers, nomads, and people on the go that, need to plug in virtually. So thanks for mentioning that, Sue. Another great chapter leader.
Women truckers.
Oh, truckers, yeah, women truckers, right. Yeah.
that's fun.
Woohoo!
That's really fun.
Akram, what'd you want to add?
I was just going to say that Carol births more than babies.
Yeah, I do.
It's true.
So
I
she's
do.
just not a doula to human babies, but also to everybody's baby idea or anything that they want to bring into the world.
Yes.
Love
Very
it.
good.
And one of these days I'll show up in Jen's classroom in her private retreat to put those all together.
Yes.
You know how it goes. Because it would be exciting to have that clarity. Seriously. Not just
Everybody
warm
should.
fuzzies, but have that clarity. It would be wonderful. And so I am blessed and I'm grateful. And you fill my hearts. Thank you.
Much love to all of you.
Thank you,
Thank
See you
you,
Carol.
next
everyone.
month. Thank you again,
Phyllis.
Jen.
Thank you, guys.
So
Bye-bye.
welcome.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Akram, good job.
Thank you, guys.
I so love you.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, honey.
You too, Philip.
Yeah, you just say that. You don't love me.
Listen, I learned how to
I'll
pop
show you,
popcorn
honey.
from you.
Yeah, where's the popcorn?
But
Where's
I
the
need
pop-
you to help me change the filters in my car.
Yeah,
I did an oil change. They say, well, you want us to change your filter for $79? I'm like, I'll just go to Phil. For $79.
wow.